Thank you very much. Thank you. For anyone who does not like lawyers taking 15 minutes to say they don't know the answer, look away now. So, foreign workers in the north after Brexit. Start off with what we do know, which is the law. We've got the Withdrawal Act 2018. That is in force. It says that, okay, if we leave in a negotiated settlement, the laws stay basically the same as they did before. However, cutting across that, not yet in force, is the immigration bill, which is very much probably the Conservative Party's planked legislation to stop the right of free movement. So no more free movement for EU migrants into UK. It's quite a short piece of legislation. It's going to be fleshed out in the immigration rules, which will specify what the hurdles are for people who want to come and work in the UK. A couple of things to note. That immigration is a reserved matter, so that means it's made at London, not at Stormont. Not that make much difference at the moment. The main thing is that there will still be this common travel area arrangement between Ireland and the UK. So citizens from the Republic can enter, live and work in the UK without restriction. The first massive bit of uncertainty is when all of this applies, and it depends upon whether we have a no-deal exit or whether we have a negotiated exit, in which case there'll be about 2 years from the point that we leave the EU while the current rules remain in place. We don't know. We may be weeks, maybe months away. What's the effect going to be? Well, there is the settled status point, which is any EU national, not non-EU national, but any EU national who's been here for 5 continuous years, they get settled status, they can work, they can set up business, benefits and healthcare. The big change, though, is that at the moment you've got a set of rules for EU citizens, basically they can come in and live here, and you have a different set of rules for non-EU citizens. After the immigration bill and rules come into force, it's just one system. And so the big question that everyone's asking is, okay, who's going to be eligible to come and work here, and how easy is it going to be? The government have asked the Migration Advisory Committee to advise them on this, and they came up 2 years ago with the idea that if you are a highly skilled worker and you are coming in, you'd have to show that you were earning £30,000 a year, which is quite a thing for anyone across the UK, let alone Northern Ireland. I'll come back to that in a minute. Another important aspect is the shortage occupation lists. This recognises that there are some skills areas where we are so short of in the UK that, in fact, they should be fast-tracked. They shouldn't be subject to particular restrictions. To date, there's only ever been a pan-UK shortlist, so shortage occupation list, so nothing specific which recognises the particular needs of different regions. The Migration Advisory Committee were asked to do one for Northern Ireland, and they're looking at that at the moment. It's worth just stressing the importance of EU workers, and the Chamber of Commerce have published statistics, sorry, it's death by statistic, but 17% saying that they are critically important, and really the trend is, A, they are very important, whether it's EU or non-EU, particularly in the hotel and the manufacturing sectors, and also there's an indication that worker recruitment for EU nationals is getting more difficult. And NISRA backed this up by saying there's been a 26% reduction in the amount of EU natives employed in Northern Ireland over 2016 to quarter to 2018. So it's really noticeable. And really, this is the main point of my talk. I think it needs to be recognised that the North is particularly vulnerable for a number of reasons. Firstly, EU natives make up 6.3% of our population, which is massive. And it's second only to London across the UK, where it's 11%. Of those, 79,000 are in work. Okay, 20 of them are from the south, and they'll be covered by the common travel arrangements, but there are still 60,000 workers from other EU countries. And the manufacturing sector, in particular, in the north, is more dependent upon them. 19% of the manufacturing workforce in the north, compared to smaller percentages in the other countries. So stressing the north's vulnerability here. Then there are another very good series of very good reasons why, again, the north has a particular vulnerability. The wage differential, that's the obvious one. The idea of someone getting £30,000 just as a sort of average salary is so far above the Northern Irish mean salary that it just doesn't reflect our labour market. Another big point, the border is never very far away, wherever you are. And it is going to be extremely easy for a company to say, look, I can't get the workers, and I'm just going to shift that way, and we'll set up over there, and I'm going to have freer access to labour and skills, and corporation tax feeds into it. The proximity of the border is something which has actually been taken on board by the MAC, because they have published what they're going to do about Northern Irish shortage lists. And they didn't say, yes, Northern Ireland's got a particular problem and we've got to be really nice to it. But what they did do was to take a quote from David Sterling, head of the Civil Services, letter on this point, and the paragraph where he said, we're really worried about the impact of the border, they quoted very prominently in their report. The fall in the value of sterling, well, that's, I guess, pan-UK, but it's probably easier for workers here just to go across the border. And exchange rate pressures and their effect on sourcing costs, again, that's a big issue. One that I see, because we're predominantly a commercial manufacturing tech law firm, we do a lot of work with FDI clients coming in, and the US companies have always been saying, look, it's the availability of a skilled workforce in Northern Ireland. Now, if that's impacted, we're going to have less FDI. There will also be impacts on universities' R&D. We've got Economy 2030, which I'm sure you're all familiar with, and it is saying, yes, we could grow in Northern Ireland. We could really create something special here, but it's predicated upon maintaining access to skills. And the skills surveys are showing that we still have pretty significant vacancies, gaps, due to skill shortages. 39% of skilled trade vacancies, 30% of machine operatives, 26% of professionals. And the point is that if you haven't got the skills, you're not going to have the productivity, and it's going to delay new products and services. So, sorry, I'm whistling through this. We're at my last slide. What can we do? Well, I think generally in the news, on a macro-political level, we can't do very, very much. Starting with the bottom, though, uniquely, this is a place where industry, the public sector, and even ministers are all united in the North's defence. Arlene Foster met Sajid Javid on the 30th of May. He had previously said that as Home Officer he was going to scrap the £30,000 requirement, salary requirement, and he repeated that again when he met with Arlene. He, of course, is a no-deal Brexiteer, which would, I mean, it's great if he removes that cap, but in his world, Brexit is going to happen pretty immediately. You can lobby. What I'm telling my clients, and have been for the last couple of years, is you need to audit your business. You need to think about what effect this is actually going to have, not just on your workforce, but also on the workforce of your suppliers. Because if there's an impact on them, obviously it's going to knock on you. I mean, what we've been able to do in commercial agreements, where our client has had the commercial clout in the relationship, is to negotiate in Brexit clauses, saying, look, these are the prices, this is what we're going to do. However, if Brexit comes and screws it all up, we sit down and renegotiate. It being June, and with the Halloween deadline, it might be rather a slim time to try and negotiate those clauses in to protect yourself, but it's got to be about being aware and auditing your business. In my view, if I can try and make any prediction about this, it's going to largely depend upon the Tory leadership elections. And since practically all of the candidates appear to be no-deal Brexit, if that happens, if there isn't a second referendum, I'm not trying to do a personal preference, then this is going to come much more quickly than people might expect. I'm really sorry, I don't like giving that message, but that's where we are at the moment. Thank you very much for listening.